show for today. Jim Murray, Chris Gasper, Brian Robb covering the Celtics for MassLive. You, if you want to join us at 617-779-0985. Celtics defeat the Miami Heat 129-116. Back in the win column, like Sean Grady said there at the end of the game. And I look at last night, Chris, and watching that game as it's column A, good. Column B, bad. Column A, good. Pretty simple. Hey, back in the win column. Kind of scuffling the last two games prior to last night. That's good. Derek White has really started to wake up in recent weeks. That's good.
Huge. And I've said for a while that he is the bellwether for the team.
Definitely. Bad column, as someone who doesn't like the product of like too many threes, but hey, if this can help you win a game, I guess fine. But the fourth quarter last night, and a night where they're honoring Isaiah Thomas, by the way. That's nice for everyone that was in the building last night. The king of the fourth gets to watch a big fourth for the Celtics where they shoot 13 of 21 from the field and hit a new franchise record 10 three-pointers in the fourth quarter, 10 of 15 from three-point land. Fine, win, but boy, still feels like a team that's real reliant on the three-point shot, which, again, I put in the bad column. I don't like watching it. I also think this was what led to their demise against the New York Knicks in the postseason last year. Boy, they still love the three-point shot.
Yeah, I mean, good win for them. Miami obviously was depleted, undermanned, missing 5 rotational players, including Tyler Hero, and Grandy talked about that. I thought this was a game that was played more on Miami's terms and their pace. Miami, as Grandy pointed out, number 1 in the league in pace. The Celtics were near the bottom of the league, and they sort of dragged them into their type of game. You also look at their ultimate rebounding numbers weren't that bad in the end. 47 for Miami, 46 for the Celtics, but they gave up 17 offensive rebounds. That's right, 17 offensive rebounds for 24 second chance points. Normally, you're not going to win that way. Also, Miami shot 20 more shots than they did. You're normally not going to win that way. So what I would say as I look at this is, could you say that this game was an aberration for the Celtics?
Yeah, this is what you were talking about last. What the hell just happened to the mic? This is what you were talking about last week. Yeah, with Coach Joe Mazzulla.
So I would say this is an aberration. You remember when they had the game against Milwaukee where they shot 0 for 16 in the third quarter and 3 for 26 in the second half? Joe said it just wasn't their night.
Shrugged and said, well, not our night. What are you going to do?
But 10 for 15 in the fourth quarter sounds a little bit different.
It's easy to see the negative side, but the positive is we just played so much faster on the offensive end, and we created good looks, and we got those. And so it's a trade-off. And at the end of the day, each game is going to tell a different story. And it's easy to say, what looked like it didn't go well, but what went well was our offense. And, they weren't able to switch us. They weren't able to steer us. They weren't able to keep us out of the paint. And we were able to create a ton of 2-on-1s with our speed. And so I thought that was a tale in the second half. So, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so there you go. So when they shoot 10 of 15 from 3 in the fourth quarter, and they shoot the 3 really, really well in the second half of a game, then they created the 2-on-1s that he was talking about. And it's about the offense. When you shoot 14 of 23, as they did, that's 61%, by the way, from 3 in the second half, which is an absurd number that you will be able to duplicate in all but a handful of games this year. That is offensive execution. When you shoot 3 of 26 against Milwaukee, though, that is just an aberration, shrug, not our night.
Yeah,
that is intellectually disingenuous.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's a great way to put it. It's frustrating because he just can't be straight with you.
Well, it's fine if they're going to play this way. Like, I don't have a huge problem with it. It's just my issue is when it's not working on a given night, can we, 1, acknowledge that, and 2, try something else? That doesn't mean don't take any threes. It just means, like, okay, guys, we're having a little bit of a drought here. We're not hitting these threes. Even go back to the Pistons game, right? The Pistons game, they were 1 for 10 from 3 in the third quarter. So when you have games like that, there are moments in games like that. Can you just try something else? Get to the free throw line. They're dead last in the league in free throw differential. The teams shoot a lot more free throws than they do, and a lot of that is the way that they play. So can you just try something else instead of just jacking up these threes if they're missing and then saying, well, there's nothing we can do. It's just not our night. And then when they're going in at a clip that they will not go in very often, like I just gave you, 61% in the second half, 10 of 15. 10 of 15. I still can't get 10 of 15, so 66% in the fourth quarter with a game on the line. That's not going to happen very often, but that's all because of your offensive execution and creating 2-on-1s. Okay.
You just got hot. I mean, just admit it. B-Rob, you're there covering the team last night. What say you on your Boston Celtics?
Yeah, when Derek White ties his career high in threes, that helps. That helps in wins like that. But I will say this, as far as putting the threes aside, I think kind of the difference in that game and continues to be a huge bright spot for this team is Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
And I'll give Joe credit for this. Like, there wasn't many guys on that roster that was playing with energy last night except for him, and he played the last 18 minutes of that game. And that needs to happen more, I feel like, because energy-wise, defense, being able to guard anyone from a point guard to going after it with, like, Bam Adebayo down low last night, like, that's huge for this team right now because he was helping, pretty much outside Derek White hitting shots. Their defense was not there for the first three quarters last night. They got just enough stops late, combined with three-point shooting to do it. But for a 19-year-old rookie right now to do this against guys like Bam, guys like Karl Anthony Towns, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. No, that's a really good point. And I think Joe's done a great job with the rotation, and he's done a great job sort of playing energy guy roulette and on a given night figuring out and identifying this is Ugo's night.
Or Walsh's night.
Jordan Walsh has been fantastic for them, and putting Jordan Walsh in the starting lineup. Give a lot of credit to Joe Mazzulla for that and sticking with him and having the patience for that to pay off. Minot, he's been very good at riding the hot hand of the end. He has a great feel for the energy guys and who's impacting the game.
All right, we already got blown off by one guest in the 11 o'clock hour. Speaking of roulette, we're going to play Chris Forsberg roulette.
No chance he picks up.
Well, so last week he was like, hey, I'm going to be golfing, so he couldn't join us. And then I hit him up yesterday. I'm like, hey, we still good for tomorrow? And he's like, well, I might be golfing. So we'll see. And we love Forsberg if he's going to join us next.
Maybe he's golfing with Jonas Schaefer. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Right. Ooh, the irony. We'll see if he joins us next to talk more about the Celtics and specifically Hugo Gonzalez, he's like mayhem on the floor. It is fun to watch him. So we'll get to that next, hopefully, here on the Sports Hub Celtics Show.
You're listening to the 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Show.
Scored new devices? Well, secure fast internet. With Astound Internet for only $20 a month, unlock the full power of your gadgets. From streaming to gaming, don't let slow internet hold you back. Backed by our fiber-powered network, Astound will keep your new tech in check. Get Astound Internet for $20 a month with a 2-year price lock. Hurry, offer ends soon. Order today at astound.com.
Go to our expert hotline. Joined via the links. It's Chris Forsberg covering the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston. I legitimately feel bad, Chris, because I know I did hit you up. Look, you're golfing, man, and you got to concentrate. Like now, what are you going to talk to us in between shots? Are you on the tee box? Are you in between 9 holes? Like what's going on?
We are on the 6th tee box right now. I just told my group, hey, I'm gonna duck out. It's a tough par 5. You guys are bailing me out here. It's like a horseshoe. It's the signature hole down here at Raceway, and you know what? I'm not mad to miss it.
So you're giving us this is the old like Danny Ainge. This is the full Danny Ainge. I'll talk to you from the golf course.
Here's the best part is I used to bust Danny's chops about this all the time. He would do the morning show from the golf course, and like literally you could hear him like grunting and swinging. And like I will not do that. I will not do that to you guys. Again, you guys are salvaging me. This was going to be an 8 on the card anyway. Okay. So you guys are helping me preserve a round that is already pretty hilarious because down here there's still a good amount of snow on the course, but got to get the rounds in when you can.
Oh, that is real dedication. Wow. Yeah, I put my clubs away like month and a half ago. But
never. They never leave my trunk, Jim.
Smart man. If you want to actually improve at the game, unlike me, I just used it as an excuse to go out there and yell and have a couple of drinks. So we were dumping a little bit on Coach Joe Mazzulla early on because of last night it's about finding the 2-on-1s as opposed to the Milwaukee game when they came back as they had some time off during the NBA Cup where it was like, well, just wasn't our night. Like he just can't be honest about. They got real hot last night in the fourth quarter. That's all it was, right?
I mean, I always say it certainly looks different when they're making shots and. I used to if we're gonna bust on Danny Ainge and like Doc is the one who always said it's a make-miss league, and it's like it's dumbing it down way too much, and yet like what was the difference between the Celtics in the fourth quarter and the rest of the night? They made 3-pointers, right. And so it looks really good when it happens. I'm a little surprised it hasn't. Like, Sam has obviously been in a funk, and for Simons to get going, like that bench unit, when the Celtics get any sort of production from that bench unit, they've been really good this year. And, it just bears itself out. And then when Derek's doing that, like when Derek's having a good night, you're just a different team, and especially in the fourth quarter. So, I don't expect it every night. He's certainly not going to make 9 threes every night. But it looks a lot better when they do. And they've just got to figure out the best way to be more consistent with that. And some of that just might be Sam turning a corner, Simons getting a little bit more consistency. They just need a little bit more from that bench unit, and it'll look like it did last night.
You hit on what I want to hit on, which is Derek White. To me, he is the biggest indicator for this team. I think you know what you're going to get from Jaylen Brown at this point, and we'll see what happens ultimately. And we'll obviously ask you about Tatum coming back. But in its current configuration, I think the person that dictates whether the team is successful or how successful they are is Derek White. And he's been tremendous over the last 15 games. He's averaging almost 21 points per game, 45% from the field, about 41% from three. What has changed for him to get in such a groove? And was there an adjustment period to having to be a certified bona fide number 2 on the team as opposed to the last couple of years where he put up great numbers, but he was a little bit down the hierarchy of stars?
It's funny because he would never admit it. He was very much like, the shots are the same, but I don't know, like whether it's mental or whether it was truly that defenses were just playing him a little bit different. Just like you said, as a number 2, you're going to see more bodies, more attention. It's like a lot easier when you have Tatum and Brown and Porzingis and Drew and everybody out there taking stress off you. So I think there was a little bit of an adjustment period there, but ultimately, I guess I never worried that he would find it. Like him and Peyton, you knew were going to get better. It's just a matter of, like you said, he's got to find a way to do it consistently as the number 2 to kind of keep you afloat until Tatum comes back and you figure all that out. But yeah, like I think the craziest number to me is the fourth quarter. If he is, and I know box score plus minus is like a noisy and from a single game you shouldn't take too much stock in it. But essentially, when Derek White is a positive in the fourth quarter, the Celtics win like 90% of their games.
Sure.
And it's as simple as that. Like you're either getting to the finish line or he's helping you be competitive in a game you need to come back in. And so every time you see Derek White have a good fourth quarter, you just assume the Celtics are going to win. So maybe he's the bellwether. It's as simple as that. They've got to figure out how to get him to be consistent. And I think just some of that is confidence. The shot looks different to me. Like there's probably nothing fundamentally, but the confidence is going up with. I think you can just tell when guys are feeling it. When he banked in that shot last night in the fourth quarter, and like even the Miami bench was like, "Oh, come on." When guys are just feeling that groove, it's clear. It's a different level of confidence when you're out there, and that's what the Celtics need.
Give us a couple of minutes on the 28th pick, Hugo Gonzalez, who just looking at it, a game like last night, like I've liked watching him.
Jim, do you want like 15 minutes?
Yeah,
like I could go for.
Do you want a dissertation?
On Hugo.
Yeah, please, because he's fun to watch. He's like mayhem out on the floor. But the thing is it fair to say like or is it putting too much on him right now that he's already way further along as a player than most people I think would have thought at this point?
Yeah. So like the one thing I need to catch myself on this sometimes is obviously when they lose these 2 games in 11 days against the Bucks and Pistons, you're like, was it a little bit of a farce, winning 10 of 12? Are they not, as good as we maybe or at least that I thought they were in those moments? But then you take a step back and you're like, wait, look at the progress Jordan Walsh has made. Look at the progress that like already in his infancy in minimal minutes that Ugo has made. All of a sudden, like they're almost, I will never say they're overstocked at the wing, but there's way more in the arsenal than I thought coming into the year in terms of, especially for future teams. And I think you should be really bullish about this when you start thinking about what will Brad do at the trade deadline. And it's on the Celtics to continue winning games to show that he should invest this season and try to add another big man or try to add to this collection. And then you add Tatum back. Like I do think the progress of the wings is like overall is the most important aspect of what's happened early in the year. It's been great that Jaylen has thrived. It's great that Derek White is having these sort of nights and you're winning games and you're way more, up the standings than probably people thought coming into the season. But just that development puts you in such a good spot, whether it's this year or deeper into the future. And with Ugo, like, I guess what I'm more confused about is like, how did no one else really every team had a chance at him, right? And this is part of the reason the scouting is so difficult, especially with Europeans, is like he didn't play a lot. There's a lot of former NBA guys overseas, Real, and like he just didn't have as much opportunity. But I mean, when you watch him, he just doesn't look like a 19-year-old, and he flies around. The energy is infectious, and like people get mad when I do this, especially with Jordan Wall stuff. It's like, well, it's not just energy. Well, sometimes it is. Like sometimes just a guy playing really hard and making everyone else play really hard really matters. And so, look, he has mistakes. I think maybe right after he checked in last night, he did something. He had a bad rotation or a defensive rotation, and Joe was like glaring through him. And I'm like, this is what you're going to go through sometimes as a rookie. And certainly you dial it back to the game before that against the Pistons. End of the third quarter was a nightmare. He comes in, they try to go offense, defense. He allows a bucket, then turns the ball over for points. That really kind of turned that game. But, I mean, dude just plays hard. He's going to be an all-defense guy. Between him and Walsh, the Celtics they've sort of found two guys that are going to be in that conversation defensively. And if their offense continues to evolve, all right, how many minutes have I been rambling? I could just do this all day.
No, I love
Hugo.
it.
I just feel like, again, we certainly overreact, and he's probably going to have a stretch this season where we're like, he's going through the rookie things. But I just sometimes I need to remind myself to take a step back. The progress those guys are making is so much more important about where this thing's going and what will, eventually, with as Brad Stevens likes to say, the North Star. And the chasing titles, like that's way more important than maybe on an individual night the wins and losses.
Yeah, like look, you know me well enough, and you know the show that I work on. We're not usually giving the flowers out, as the kids say. But I almost feel like in a case with Gonzalez, Chris, that we don't talk enough about Brad Stevens because he's so behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And again, I refer to him as the 28th pick. You look at him in a game like last night, and these flashes and the intensity he plays with, it feels like he might have gotten like a top 15 pick with the 28th pick.
Yeah, and I again, like if you go back and look at the projections, like Hugo was kind of all over the board. Most had him slotted late in the first round, but some had him as high as 14, 15. Like again, it's so hard because when your guy doesn't play a lot of minutes, the analytics get difficult, and this is where you just got to trust the basketball minds that are watching this, and so. It goes well beyond Brad, and I'm sure like their overseas scouting and all the people that watch these games. There's a lot of time and energy goes into tracking these guys. It's also a reminder, and not so much with Hugo, but certainly with Jordan Walsh, like patience matters. Like you just got to give. If you're drafting 19-year-olds, it sometimes just takes time. And like I'd be lying if I said I thought like Jordan was going to come in and do what he did this season. But I did think there was a chance he would sort of blossom a little bit more. And sometimes you just got to give guys time. Like we've seen it just over and over again with Neesmith, and now sometimes it's just opportunity. And so, credit to the Celtics for hanging in there. I think they're one of the things, especially when they were competing for titles, that we sometimes lamented was the younger development getting lost. And they've really made it a priority lately, and it's setting them up well for whatever comes next.
I think the biggest news of the week for the Celtics was you guys all talking with Brad Stevens, president of basketball operations. What were your big takeaways from that in terms of what you think they'll do with the trade deadline? I guess to narrow that down a little bit, it would be, can they pull off two things at the same time, adding to the team and getting under the luxury tax threshold? That would be one. And then the second element would be, Jayson Tatum. And those comments, I think, caught a lot of people's ear about, hey, there's a reason we didn't apply for the long-term exception.
Right. So for those like unaware, like the Celtics did not apply for what's called the disabled player exception. And maybe you guys already explained this, but essentially,
we did.
Like it doesn't mean your guy's out for the year, but mentally, it just sort of, like, you already heard Indiana come out and say, okay, Tyrese isn't playing this year. Now, his injury was later. It's kind of understandable that they did that. But teams have been very cautious to put expectations on guys. The Celtics, and this is sort of the approach with both this year's team, with Tatum, with everything that they do, is the whole no ceilings idea, right? Like, and this is what Brad tells at Butler, is you never want to put expectations or limitations on a team because a lot of times they can exceed what you think. And with Tatum, they just never even wanted the suggestion out there that they didn't think he was coming back, or, knowing how hard he was working, knowing how quickly they got him into surgery. And so I think with Tatum, like, I think I've told you guys, I circled March at first. I thought he was kind of targeting around his birthday. I think he's made enough progress where I think the conversation starts closer to February. And maybe they just elect to trade cautiously, and maybe put him on all those force plates, and he needs a little bit more strength to be 100% convinced he's ready to be back out there. And maybe they trade cautiously, and maybe it does go into March. But like, he's coming back. Like, to me, there's just, unless there's something that happens, to me, he's coming back. And so I just kind of plan for that. Will he be all NBA Jayson Tatum? Probably not. But even last night, watching Drew Smith and like how he's played every game this year, he's playing back-to-backs, and he was back in 10 months. And so I just think there's a lot of optimism there, and I thought Brad was sort of hammering that home. As far as trades, I think I think he kind of put it on the team. He's like, everyone's kind of still trying to figure out who they are. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about where this team is, but if they consistently win games, then it gets easier to make a move that maybe slightly more win now than win later. That there'll be a balance there. Can you kind of check two boxes? And I think Brad's probably ultimate goal would be to do both, to move enough money to get below the tax, at least open avenues to potentially resetting the repeater penalties long term. But if they just feel like they're in the mix and that it's all set up, I do not think they'll be hesitant to spend. Chisholm has said, at every opportunity that, much like the last regime, he will be willing to spend to be competitive. And if you feel like you have a chance, they'll kind of go for it.
Oh, that Pelicans second-round pick could come off. That could pay off here. That second-round pick they have in 2026 from the Pelicans. That could be good.
Interesting.
All right.
And how did they get that?
I don't know. It's one of those things where they get the best of like 5 teams picked, and the Pelicans is one of the teams. It's like
I need to go back and start studying this thing again.
Yeah,
like,
I looked it up the other day, and it's literally they get the best of like there's 5 teams, and the Pelicans are one of them, and I'm like, great, we'll take the Pelicans.
that could be 31. I mean, like, look, there's some optimism down there, but like whether it'll turn into wins is a whole other situation. No. And again, that's what, even when they move back, and I know like a lot of people are, like, even me in the moment, were like, Kalkbrenner was still on the board when they moved back this year. Some of these move back picks in the moment, you're like, maybe you could have found someone, but there's just no guarantees. And, but having those assets, whether those come into play in trades or whether that's finding more guys, if you can find more Jordan Walshes in the second round, that'd be pretty good too.
I'll give it to you just quickly. I mean, again, I can't trace the pick for you. You're going to have to do that. But they have the most favorable, this is a second round pick, most favorable of Minnesota, the Knicks, the Pelicans, and the Trailblazers.
Interesting. Well, I feel pretty good about 2 of those teams.
Chris, you're not in your mid-40s yet, right?
No, yes, he is.
I am.
Yes,
Oh.
He's older than I am.
Because I'm going to say,
Smack dab.
if you miss a shot and you hit that cold ground on a 37-degree day, it rattles my bones. Maybe I don't drink enough milk. I can't believe you're playing today.
Jim, so like when you miss hit every shot, it's like you feel them every time. It doesn't matter how cold the ground is. Like my hands are bad. I've been thinking. I actually, it's funny. Like, and I can't. Everyone's going to just think I'm lying, and I probably am. It is like some of my best golf has come the last 2 weeks because I go in with no expectations.
Yeah.
Because if there's a nice patch on the green, you can make it an auto 2-putt. And so, all of a sudden, like a lot of the holes in my game are not getting exposed. And you skip a hole. Now my scorecard is going to look great.
Well,
I'm going to put up a good number today.
I like it. We'll get back to your game.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you for joining us. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and yours. And thanks for taking the time.
Happy holidays, y'all. We got to do it. How about a Celtics show from the golf course? Gasper, you ever swim club?
No, I'm terrible. I'm so bad.
He can sit in the cart and have a fancy hot chocolate.
As I could.
Ooh,
I
that'd
could.
be great.
I'm not out here taking lessons like Jim,
All right, Chris. Appreciate it.
Later, y'all.
Chris Forsberg, NBC Sports.
Yeah, I didn't
Boston.
tell you that. I ran into someone who's like, "Oh, I know where Jim takes lessons. I take lessons at the place he takes
A
lessons."
good spot, too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pure Drive in Woburn. Right? That was the place?
Yeah, somebody was like, "Oh, yeah, I see Jim there." Like, I was like, "Oh, Jim's taking lessons. Good for him."
It's helped a bit, but if your baseline is suck, it is what it is. I just I've calmed down on the golf course. At some point, we all fall into this. If you play golf too much, I do feel like you unfortunately get in this spot where you're like, I got to get better. You got to take one stroke off. Like, we're not fighting to be on the tour. Just go out there and have a good time. All right, with that, we will be back. If you want to join us on anything Celtics related, you want to praise Hugo Gonzalez, whatever, anything with the C, 617-779-0985 is the phone number to join us here in the Sports Hub Celtics Show.
This is the Sports Hub Celtics Show.
Talk about the timeline for Jayson Tatum's return. Welcome back, Sports Hub Celtics Show. So it does feel like it's going to be sooner than we maybe think. Look, you see any of these workout videos and him coming back from this Achilles injury, it does feel like you're going to see him at some point in the spring. Chris Haynes of senior NBA insider for NBA on Prime, on Amazon, NBA TV, he tweets this week or said this week, he told me he's coming back this season. That's Haynes on Jayson Tatum. So, but I don't know, we now maybe looking at February, guys? Like something like that?
I could see that. I could see after. I think the dividing line here, it would make sense to me for it to be post All-Star break. If he comes back pre-All-Star break, then that's like a wow. Like, wow. Maybe post-All-Star break makes some sense. The All-Star game is in Los Angeles. I'm assuming he'll probably be there regardless because it's such a big event. And then right after that, the Celtics are on a West Coast trip. They're at Golden State. I don't know if that's the game you want to be his first game back. And then after that game, they're at the Lakers. And so they have this 4-game West Coast trip. So they could bring him back for that if they want to wait and make it maybe a little bit more of a soft landing. I see Brooklyn on February 27th. That would make some sense. B-Rob, I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, do you think there's a chance he could come back before the All-Star break?
A chance, yes, but I wouldn't bet on it. But I would say, you're going through the schedule here, Chris?
Yeah.
My bet, and I think you might have talked about it in an early interview, my bet it comes in a home game.
Okay.
Whenever it does come.
Brooklyn's a home game on
right.
the 27th.
Right. So if I was going to bet on it, I'd say like one of those dates, late February, early March.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown I saw this week too was on. It was some kind of stream, I think. If I don't know the name of the podcast, I apologize. But he was talking about how his recovery, Tatum's recovery with his Achilles, is unlike anything he's ever seen. The quote was, "He'll probably break the record for the fastest recovery in Achilles history. I wouldn't put it past him." Again, you're seeing these videos, you see how hard he's working. The point is this: unless there's some sort of crazy setback, he's coming back this season. I think that's just now a given.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely coming back unless there's some sort of setback. And I think that's good for the Celtics for a number of reasons. Look, we'll see what he can do this year. It certainly would be a boost, but I think anything you get from him this year is really gravy. But what I like about it is now it sets him up to break through a lot of these mental barriers. This year, he can go into the offseason, have a normal offseason, train, come back next year, hit the ground running.
Yeah, and so I guess do you weigh? I wonder how much the organization is maybe even weighing, or Tatum himself and some of his teammates are weighing, how open the East feels. Because I can get from a Celtics standpoint, or even like a nervous Nelly fan, is it worth risking a few months worth of playing hoops and maybe going on a run because the East isn't good for the potential of getting injured again and then costing yourself a longer career for another 7 to 10 years or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I get though, like, look, we're living in the times of modern medicine. You can bounce back from this. He got that surgery. The way that he did it is you can recover this quickly from it. He should want to play. It's clear he wants to play. And the East stinks. This would make the East much more interesting if he comes back. And I wouldn't put it past him to go on some sort of deep run. They should be looking.
No, I mean, the East looks pretty wide open as you're looking at it. I mean, right now, Detroit's at the top of the East, and they're having a good year. But I don't think you look at them and think that's a team you absolutely have to fear. Look, Cade Cunningham's having a tremendous, tremendous season, but who really are his running mates there? Jalen Duren is pretty good, but I look at that team, I think they're overachieving. The Knicks beat you last year, have a new coach, obviously, in Mike Brown, but they still have the same vulnerabilities they had last year, which are that Karl Anthony Towns is a foul machine, not good on defense, and Brunson's not good on defense either, and they don't have much of a bench.
Pardon me, that's the NBA Cup champion, New York Knicks.
Oh, yes, I forgot. I apologize. Yes. Yeah, that's great.
And the thing here, too, guys, is the Celtics still have a move to make or two. And they can, seeing where Tatum is at in February, where the trade line lines up, at that point, you're going to know, okay, his target date is XYZ. He's going to be good to go. He's going to be able to give us, 20, 25 minutes a night at that point. And they've been doing all this right now. They have this record with one playable center on their roster, period.
Yeah, so true.
And if you just get another guy who can soak up 20, 25 minutes a night respectfully there, and you have through throwing Jayson Tatum back into the equation, then, yeah, I think you're kind of on even footing with everyone at the East at that point.
You know what I can't wait, though? In typical Celtics fan fashion, I know it's going to be like, oh, man, okay, Tatum's coming back, but is he going to eat into Jordan Walsh's minutes? Or Hugo Gonzalez's minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there was, I think it was on the show.
That's a good thing.
Last week, we took a call that was like, well, how about, to ease him in? He comes off the bench to start. Like, you think that's going to happen? Come on.
I mean, he's probably not going to play every game, right? He's probably going to be in the Al Horford
The minutes will
plan.
be limited.
No back-to-backs and limited minutes. But I'm just telling you, if Ugo and Jordan Walsh keep this up, there's going to be someone that's kind of like, I know Tatum's coming back. Along what you just said, I know Tatum's coming back, but, we got to still find minutes for Walsh and Ugo. And, I don't want to mess with the team's chemistry.
Let's go to Mark in Dorchester, who has a thought on Peyton Pritchard. Hello, Mark.
Hey guys, happy afternoon. So I got two trade scenarios that can keep us competitive, but also save us money as well.
Okay.
And the first is with Pritchard sending him to San Antonio for Castle. I think that's a good trade because San Antonio, they don't need all those superstar guards, and I think Castle could be a great elite future point guard for us, and then Pritchard could be a sixth man for them. And then the second trade is then you take the Simons contract, and then you trade him to like the Hawks for like Onyeka Okongwu or something like that. Again, saving money there, but also Okongwu's really a starting caliber center, and then you can push Kate to the bench as well. So just a couple moves that I thought. Obviously, it's going to take more than Pritchard to get Castle, like Pritchard and Picks and stuff like that.
I was going to say, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
It's definitely going to take more than Simons to get.
They won't trade him for Giannis. I feel like this.
Yeah. I mean, what's going on in Atlanta down there? I know Trae Young came back the other night against Charlotte, but really, it feels like a passing of the torch there to Jalen Johnson, who's been a triple-double machine. And between Jalen Johnson, Okongwu, Dyson Daniels, it feels like that's maybe what the future of that team is, and that Trae Young could no longer be a member of your Hawks, Jim.
They're not my Hawks.
You're going to be upset about that if you guys have to trade Trae Young?
One of the most irrelevant teams in all of professional sports, Atlanta Hawks. It's funny, too. So a buddy of mine actually hit me up yesterday who now he has access to tickets, and he's like, pick a game midweek. They're good seats. We'll go. And I was looking at specifically games maybe on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
About the Hawks or the Celtics?
No, the Celtics.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking. He was like, and he says like, there's one against the Hawks in February. I was like, no, I'm not going to that. I don't want to see that team.
I actually would. So I know.
We picked Denver at the beginning of the year.
That's a great pick. I know I bust your balls on the Hawks thing, but the Hawks are actually an interesting team. I like Quinn Snyder as a coach, and between Zachary Risache and Jalen Johnson, how's that going to work out there? Jalen Johnson, he's obviously taken a huge step forward. I like Okongwu. They're actually kind of an interesting team, but I don't see anywhere on God's green earth where you could trade Simons for Okongwu.
Those idiots down there don't even care about them. Having to cover the Atlanta Hawks now, I mean, this is like 12 years ago, Chris. You always bring this up. It makes me so they're not my teams. They don't, unless LeBron was in town with Cleveland, or because there's a lot of it's a transplant city. Celtics come to town, it's like 80% Celtics fans. They don't care about the Hawks in Atlanta. Oh, get rid of that team.
I'm just saying,
relegate them.
Like for me, and again, I wasn't down there. I feel like your experience was a lot like, and I worked in television along. McCone did too. If you're an anchor and whatever market you go to, you have to attach yourself to the teams. Like for example, I'll tell you, there's an anchor in this town who's very, very good, who is rah-rah Celtics, who grew up a Lakers fan.
Oh, really?
But you have to attach that's what you have to do to earn the trust of the viewers, the listeners. They become like your team. So I know that's what you had to do down there in Atlanta.
Oh, it's so disingenuous. This is what you're supposed to do to the audience. You don't take your audience seriously. If you need it, well, our Hawks, and our Falcons are in the NFC Championship game this weekend against the Niners. What do you think? You pulling for them? No. I hope they lose, and I'm glad that they did to the Niners and Colin Kaepernick that year. Am I pulling for them? Anything else you guys got? Because
you'll never wipe the Atlanta off you, Jim. I don't care what you do.
No, I suppose not. I don't know if you heard this yesterday. As we mentioned, you're talking about the Knicks, and you snickered at the fact that they are the NBA Cup champion.
It was a good game, though.
It was a good game. My favorite thing that happened, I mentioned this yesterday too, and it's maybe my favorite thing that's happened in sports all month, was during the celebration. I don't know if you saw Josh Hart do the old thumb up the caboose of Jalen Brunson. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see it.
Very entertaining.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't stick around for the NBA Cup. The way you feel about when people say, when I tease you about the Atlanta thing, our Hawks, our Falcons, that's how I feel about sticking around for I can't even laugh. The NBA Cup celebration. F off with that.
Well,
please.
I only really saw this in clip form, and I've now watched it a bunch of times because to me, I have the mind of a child. I don't care. And I also am a big believer, Chris, that the last bastion of true, deep male friendship is if you and your boys can bust balls in a slapstick way without someone wanting to haul off and punch one of the others. Because what happened to Brunson is Brunson's kind of grabbing the stupid NBA Cup. His arms are up in the air, and Josh Hart comes behind him. And he takes his thumb and goes whoop, right up Brunson's caboose. Very entertaining. Brunson was like, "Come on, man! I like this kind of humor. Hip checks into the bushes. I'll still do that to my buddy Keith.
Yeah, I like that one. I like the hip check.
Peeing on my buddy's shoe in the next stall over. That's if you can.
That's oh my god! I'd fight you.
Yeah, see?
I'd fight you over that.
Well, you got fancy shoes.
That's BS. I'd be so pissed at that. Are you kidding me?
No, I find this kind of thing
terrible.
funny. Signs of real deep male friendship.
No, that you should be arrested for that. That is criminal. I would be so pissed.
You're out in public, you're wearing sweatpants, pants come down. Like, again, I got the mind of a child. It's not for everybody, but I have always found if you can bust balls in this way, that's
I'll
the
tell
kind
you
of
what,
funny I'm looking for.
There would be some sort of complaint to Beasley if you ever pee on my shoe in this building.
Another great one, you go into the elevator with your friends, and there's some strangers in there, and you start talking about diseases that friend might have, or
that's funny.
Yeah,
that one's funny. I like that.
Real slapstick, ball busty type stuff.
The peeing on the shoe, I'm telling you, I'm like
just a tinkle.
No, you should be. I'm
sorry,
sort of thinking of like capital punishment for that. I mean, that is absurd.
You got fancy shoes. All right, well, so concludes the Sports Hub Celtics show.
It's desecration of somebody's private property,
I suppose. We'll get into the final hour of Gasper and Murray, which will be football heavy, among other things. I know Chris has strong feelings about that 2-point conversion that helped the Seahawks tie the game, come back in overtime, beat the Rams on Thursday night. So we'll touch on that, among other things. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. It's the Sports Hub.
We'll have more of the Sports Hub Celtics show next.